Haley is making several stops across South Carolina today, her home state, just days before the state's Republican primary. It appears she's trying to make up some ground, since recent polling, CBS News polling, shows Donald Trump with a double-digit lead over the state's former governor. CBS News campaign reporter Olivia Rinaldi is in Washington, D.C. Olivia, great to have you. Talk to us about the mood of the Trump campaign as this primary gets closer.
Yeah, hi, Lilia. The mood of the Trump campaign has really been twofold. On the one hand, there's excitement. They feel very good about how the voters have been responding to them and how the Republican Party here in Washington has really been coalescing around the former president and making sure they're moving in lockstep to see that he is the 2024 GOP nominee. But on the other hand, there's some annoyance, and that annoyance is directed at Nikki Haley, who continues to be a thorn in the side of the former president's campaign. The longer she stays in the race, that's time, energy, effort that they need to spend making sure that she stays lower in the polls, that she does not rise and make up that 35-point gap that we saw there in our latest CBS News polling. But just to speak to the confidence that the Trump campaign feels in South Carolina, he's only been there once since New Hampshire. Wow. He has not been back in the state on the campaign trail. I was there when he was in Myrtle Beach just a few weeks ago. He's set to return later this week, but Nikki Haley has been there just about every day, beating the ground, beating the trail on the campaign. So we'll try to see if any of that really makes up that gap where we see in the polling.
So what does South Carolina mean in terms of how does that primary set the tone or the scene ahead of Super Tuesday?
Yeah, I mean, if Donald Trump wins in South Carolina, that would be a decisive command on the party, I think, especially showing that he's going 4 for 4 in the early primary states. It's been a long time, perhaps the first time, that a Republican candidate who's not an incumbent has ever been able to win all 4 early voting states. So then he would go on to Michigan and then on to Super Tuesday with really that iron grip on the party. And sources on the Trump campaign tell me they're very well built out in those Super Tuesday states. They have a ground game that has been running there for a while, whereas Nikki Haley is just now starting to build up some of that ground force there. But really what the Trump campaign is looking for is more decisive wins in Michigan, then in Super Tuesday, so they can clinch this nomination by mid-March and then move on towards the general election where they can shift their attention to Joe Biden.
And are you seeing the campaign doing that? I mean, there was so much talk over the last several weeks about the strength or lack of strength of Biden as a candidate. I imagine that the Trump campaign must be using that to kind of run already on the general election. How is that messaging shifting?
Yeah, we're already starting to see little glimpses of that. This weekend, Donald Trump went to 2 states that he lost in 2020, Pennsylvania and Michigan. But not only did he go to those battleground states, but he also went to Democratic strongholds in those states. He spent Saturday at SneakerCon, which is a gathering of young people, all people, who love sneakers in Philadelphia. He got a little bit of a mixed response there from the crowd. But it's this Democratic stronghold in Philadelphia that he's trying to pull away some of those young voters. He then went on to Oakland County in Michigan. And this is a county that Donald Trump wants to win again. This is a county that was Republican for a very long time before 2008 when Barack Obama flipped it and has continued to trend Democratic since then. These are the strongholds that Donald Trump wants to go into, try to peel away some voters away from Joe Biden, where we see some of that weakness.
Olivia Rinaldi, thank you so much.
Thank you.